Where is the deepest cave in the world? Why is it so mysterious? How deep is 2,212 meters? Today, we're taking you to one of the darkest places on Earth. To reach the deepest cave in the world, we first have to travel to the heart of the Caucasus Mountains. Veryovkina Cave lies beneath a vast limestone plateau known as the Veryovkina Massif, near the coast of the Black Sea. At first glance, this landscape looks peaceful, with towering mountains, dense forests, and valleys covered in mist. But beneath these mountains, a hidden world has been taking shape for millions of years. The region receives heavy rain and snowfall throughout the year. As snow melts and rainwater seeps through cracks in the limestone, it slowly dissolves the rock. Every drop carves a new path through the mountain. Over thousands and even millions of years, this process transforms narrow cracks into enormous vertical shafts and small cavities into underground tunnels stretching for kilometers. That is why the Veryovkina Massif is home not only to the deepest cave on Earth, but also to many of the deepest caves ever discovered. Now, it's time to take our first step into this vast underground labyrinth. The story of Veryovkina Cave began in 1968. That year, Soviet cavers discovered a narrow cave entrance while exploring the Caucasus Mountains. The first expedition managed to descend only a few hundred meters. With the equipment and technology available at the time, going any deeper was simply impossible. As the years passed, new expedition teams returned with stronger ropes, advanced climbing systems, and improved safety equipment. Each expedition revealed another passage, another vertical shaft, and an even greater mystery hidden beneath the mountain. In 2017 and 2018, Russian caving teams reached the deepest point ever explored inside the cave. After precise measurements, Veryovkina Cave was officially recorded at 7,257 feet, 2,212 meters, earning the title of the deepest known cave on Earth. But this achievement did not come easily. Explorers crossed freezing underground streams, descended hundreds of meters down vertical shafts on ropes, and spent days camping deep beneath the surface. Every piece of food, rope, and equipment had to be carried on their backs. Even today, parts of Veryovkina Cave remain unexplored. With every new expedition, humanity takes another step into one of the last great unknown worlds beneath our feet. The first step into the cave is the beginning of a completely different world. In the first few meters, the passages are extremely narrow. In some places, cavers have to remove their backpacks and crawl between the rocks just to keep moving. By then, daylight can no longer reach them. As the journey goes deeper, the cave turns into massive vertical shafts. Some are dozens of meters deep, while others reach hundreds of meters. At these points, the only way down is to trust the ropes and descend slowly. Farther below, underground rivers and waterfalls greet the expedition teams. For millions of years, these freezing waters have carved through the rock, creating the cave we see today. The sound of rushing water breaks the cave's complete silence. However, one of the most difficult parts of the journey is the siphons. These are narrow passages, completely filled with water. Some siphons cannot be crossed without specialized diving equipment and can bring an expedition to a complete stop. Every meter of Veryovkina Cave brings a new obstacle and a new mystery. That is why exploring this cave requires not only courage, but also patience, experience, and perfect teamwork. The biggest challenge inside Veryovkina Cave is not the depth itself, but nature. Conditions inside the cave can change without warning. Rising underground water can flood narrow passages within minutes. That is why cavers must constantly monitor the weather and the water levels before and during an expedition. Another major danger is hypothermia. The water inside the cave is almost freezing, and the temperature stays very low throughout the year. Spending too much time in wet clothing can quickly lower a person's body temperature. Long descents and heavy equipment also push expedition teams to their physical limits. Carrying dozens of kilograms of gear, squeezing through narrow passages, and descending steep vertical shafts require incredible endurance over a journey that can last for days. On top of that, There is complete darkness. Deep inside the cave, the only source of light comes from the lamps attached to the cavers' helmets. If one of those lights fails, you can find yourself surrounded by total darkness, where the human eye can see absolutely nothing. The cave's high humidity makes everything even more difficult. Slippery rocks, wet ropes, and heavy, soaked clothing make every step more dangerous than the last. That is why every expedition into Veryovkina cave is a true test not only of physical strength, but also of careful planning, discipline, and teamwork. However, one of the most difficult parts of the journey is the siphons. These are narrow passages, completely filled with water. Some siphons cannot be crossed without specialized diving equipment and can bring an expedition to a complete stop. Every meter of Veryovkina cave brings a new obstacle and a new mystery. That is why exploring this cave requires not only courage, but also patience, experience, and perfect teamwork. At first glance, Veryovkina cave appears utterly lifeless. In this dark world, where sunlight never penetrates and nutrient sources are extremely limited, one might assume that life is impossible. However, the reality is quite different. Research conducted by scientists has revealed that thousands of different microorganisms inhabit the depths of the cave. Bacterial groups such as proteobacteria, acidobacteria, and actinobacteria, in particular, thrive on rocks and within damp sediments. These bacteria can utilize the chemical energy from rocks and minerals without the need for sunlight. The cave is not home to only bacteria. Various fungi that flourish on moist surfaces also form a significant part of this enclosed ecosystem. By decomposing organic matter, they contribute to the continuation of the life cycle for other organisms. Even more intriguing are the invertebrate creatures that have fully adapted to the perpetual darkness. Researchers have so far identified at least 15 different invertebrate species in Veryovkina cave. Among them are insects with atrophied or undeveloped eyes, small crustaceans, spiders, and other cave-dwelling organisms. These creatures navigate not by sight, but by touch and chemical senses. Each new study indicates that this cave is not merely the deepest in the world, but also a unique underground ecosystem still awaiting discovery. Perhaps Veryovkina's greatest mystery is not its depth, but how life manages to exist within its profound darkness. At last, we have reached the deepest point ever explored. We are now 2,212 meters below the surface, about 7,257 feet underground. At this depth, there is no daylight, and not even the faintest sound from the outside world. The only things you can hear are the echoes of dripping water and the breathing of the cavers. We are standing at one of the deepest places humanity has ever reached beneath the Earth's surface. So, why does the journey end here? Because just beyond the deepest explored point, the passage becomes a completely flooded siphon. Since this narrow tunnel is filled with water from floor to ceiling, it cannot be crossed with normal caving equipment. Going any farther requires specialized cave diving gear and extremely dangerous expeditions. What makes it even more mysterious is that no one knows for certain what lies beyond the siphon. There could be hundreds of meters of unexplored passages waiting on the other side. Or this could truly be the end of the cave. For now, one thing is certain. 2,212 meters is the deepest point that has been safely reached and mapped inside Veryovkina cave. But this mysterious underground world has not revealed all of its secrets yet. Today, we reach the deepest known cave in the world. We descended 2,212 meters below the surface. We saw a world where sunlight has never reached, a place that has remained in complete darkness for millions of years. We passed through narrow passages, stood beside enormous vertical shafts, followed underground rivers, and finally arrived at the deepest point humanity has explored so far. But perhaps the most fascinating fact is this. This cave has not revealed all of its secrets yet. No one knows for certain what lies beyond the flooded passages. Maybe the cave truly ends there. Or perhaps enormous chambers and endless tunnels, never seen by human eyes, are still waiting to be discovered. While humanity continues exploring the depths of space, there is still a vast unknown world hidden beneath our feet. And maybe one day, the first people to reach the true end of Veryovkina Cave will be someone watching this video today. See you on the next adventure.